Good morning. Welcome to our weekly devotional here on a Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Justin Allison. I am the discipleship pastor at Greenwood Baptist Church. And today we're going to look in 1 Samuel chapter 19, and we're going to look at another story of the character of David. We've been walking through several different chapters here, talking about how there are elements that we can see in the character of David as he's described in the book of 1 Samuel. Anyway, there's these elements of David's character that we see that we should follow as an example, that we should try to emulate in our daily behavior. And today we're going to look at a story of when David's probably best friend, at least very, very good friend, Johnathon, when he goes to the king, who's actually his father, and pleads David's case. In other words, Saul has gotten angry at David, and he's planning to do bad things to him. But Johnathon intercedes on behalf of David, and he characterizes David in some ways that I think are good for us to see, first of all, and then good for us to try and follow in our own daily lives. So let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 19. We're going to start in verse 1, and we're going to read several verses. I'll be reading today in the New Living Translation, and it starts out this way. Saul now urged his servants and his son Johnathon to assassinate David. But Johnathon, because of his strong affection for David, told him what his father was planning. He told David what his father was planning. Tomorrow morning, he warned him, you must find a hiding place out in the fields. I'll ask my father to go out there with me, and I'll talk to him about you. Then I'll tell you everything I can find out. The next morning, Johnathon spoke with his father about David, saying many good things about him. The king must not sin against his servant David, Johnathon said. He's never done anything to harm you. He's always helped you in any way he could. And have you forgotten about the time he risked his life to kill the Philistine giant, and how the Lord brought a great victory to all Israel as a result? You were certainly happy about it then. Why should you murder an innocent man like David? There's no reason for it at all. So Saul listened to Johnathon, and he vowed, as surely as the Lord lives, David will not be killed. Afterward, Johnathon called David, and he told him what had happened. Then he brought David to Saul, and David served in the court as before. War broke out after that, so a little later, and David led his troops against the Philistines. He attacked them with such fury that they all ran away. But one day, when Saul was sitting at home with a spear in hand, the tormenting spirit from the Lord suddenly came upon him again. And as David played the harp, Saul hurled his spear at David. But David dodged out of the way, and leaving the spear stuck in the wall, he fled and escaped into the night. So really what I want to major on is Jonathan's characterization of David at the beginning of this chapter. Should be pointed out that what Saul did in terms of relenting from this anger only lasted for a little while, but nevertheless, it did last. So Jonathan's intercession on behalf of David was successful, and it's because of certain characteristics about David. It's also because the Lord's hand was on David and guided Johnathon in this. But I think there's some things in David's character that we can see as an example for us to follow in the day and time that we live in. And those things come in the second half of verse 4 and verse 5 of 1 Samuel 19. And there's these three main ways that David is characterized. First of all, he's never done anything to harm you. That's what Scripture says. Johnathon tells Saul about David. He's never done anything to harm you. So a general principle from this might be that David didn't cause trouble for those in authority over him. In other words, be known for good character. So you and I can look at that principle of don't cause trouble for those in authority over us and be known for good character. We can take that and we can apply it to our own life. One way that we might do that is by being people who refuse to spread rumors about those in leadership. So if you and I hear something about, I don't know, let's say a local city official or maybe someone at a different organization, like a Little League president or a church leader or something, you and I can look at that situation and we can hear this rumor and we can ask them, how do you know that this is true? And you can pretty quickly usually tell if that's a rumor or not by the way they say, oh, well, I know it is. Well, how do you know? Everyone knows. Okay, great. That's a rumor, right? So we just know that. Don't spread those kind of things. Don't pass that information along. So don't do anything to cause trouble for those in authority over us. So if we help squash those rumors, if you will, we're helping those in authority by not doing anything to stir up trouble. And so another way might be that we try to give them the benefit of the doubt. This whole COVID thing happened a couple years ago, and that's what we tried to do with our local representatives. When they asked us to shut down for a little while, we gave them the benefit of the doubt, and when they said we could open up, we did that. They said certain things were optional, and we as a church said, okay, if that's optional, we're going to choose not to do that. But we never said that they were trying to hurt us or anything like that. And so I think that's the important thing, is that we assume the best intention until we're proven wrong. And so don't spread these rumors about those in leadership. Be known for kindness and truth. And so that should be how we characterize those in authority over us. David, it was said he's never done anything to harm Saul. So that's one of the ways that we can do that in our own life. Now, the next thing is that Jonathan said, David has always helped you in any way that he could, like with playing the harp whenever this evil spirit tormented Saul. So you and I can take that, and as a general principle, think of it this way: be helpful to those who are in authority whenever possible. Be helpful to those who are in authority whenever possible. So in other words, you and I should be willing to serve others. If somebody says, hey, again, like a kid's sports team or something, hey, I need some help with this one thing. Well, let's be helpful, be willing to serve others, be willing to help leaders of organizations or our community. If our community leaders asked us to go support, something and it lines up with our values, then let's go support that thing and be helpful. Because like David, we want to be people who are characterized in the terms of always helped you in any way that we could. So we want to be helpful to those in authority whenever possible. And so that's the second way that we can be like David in this story. And the third way takes a little bit of analyzation here. So the third thing was in verse 5, Jonathan says, have you forgotten about the time that David risked his life to kill the Philistine giant, how the Lord brought a great victory to all Israel as a result? You and I probably are going to be called to go fight a giant on behalf of the entire nation. So when we look at the general principle here, we need to be fearless on behalf of protecting God's people. We need to be fearless in defending the responsibilities God has given us. So what does that look like? Well, could be your family, right? We need to protect our family. We need to be fearless in the way that we stand up for our family. We need to be fearless in the way that we protect them and serve them. Same thing with our church. We should do that. We should be people who are known to do everything we can for God's kingdom right here in the local church that we're a part of. Then it could be also, again, our community. Do we defend those in our community who have had wrong things done against them? People who have been bullied, people who are the subject of, false rumors. Do we defend them? Do we protect them? Do we stand up for the rights of the people in our communities? So those are some ways that we can be fearless in protecting the people that God has given us to protect. It starts in the home, I would say. It starts with our families, and then I would say within our spiritual community, and then our community at large. And so those three things are really ways that we can be like David. Don't cause trouble for those in authority over us. Be helpful to those in authority over us whenever possible. And then be fearless in protecting those that God's given us that responsibility to protect. So those are three ways that we can be like David, three ways we can follow in his example from this story of 1 Samuel 19. And so I hope that that's helpful for you. I hope that you've kind of centered in on one of those that you can try to do in the next few days in a way that you can be like David and serve others. So that's my challenge for you today. I hope that you'll do that this week. And I want to encourage you to be a part of our spiritual community here at Greenwood, whether that's online or we're in person. We would love for you to be here in person, but if that's not a reality, then we would love to have you online. So you can do that through social media, or you can even find things on our website, greenwood.church, ways to get involved and be connected there. We would love to see you on a Sunday, 8:30, 9:45, or 11 a.m. Y'all have a wonderful week.